Measure with laser precision so your tub fits perfectly, with watertight walls that are grout-free and easy to clean. Smart, cost-effective, and guaranteed for life. Bath Fitter.
At your next big event, everything needs to feel just right. From the presentation to the products, 4imprint provides outstanding branded gear, guaranteed to show up sharp and right on time. Visit 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
When people search for you online, what do they find? Reputation Defender helps get rid of or bury negative search results so you can make the best first impression. Search your name today and let Reputation Defender help you rise to the top.
You have no idea how long Marvin has waited to sing like this. But with his new teeth from Affordable Dentures and Implants, he's back under the bright lights, right where he belongs. Affordable Dentures and Implants. That's what we do.
It was the worst nuclear disaster in history.
The reactor was like a loaded gun.
It was the first people to witness what had happened.
Disaster, the Chernobyl meltdown. May 10th on CNN and next day on the CNN app.
In our national lead, Americans are having fewer children. That's according to recent CDC data. Last year's U.S. fertility rate dropped to a record low, about 3.6 million births in 2025, compared to the peak 4.3 million in 2007, a difference of about 700,000 fewer children. Joining the panel now, Melissa Kearney. She is the director of the Aspen Economic Strategy Group and economics professor at Notre Dame University. Melissa, it's like a stunning drop from 2025 back to 2007. What are the factors? What's driving it right now?
It's not any one specific, easy to point to factor like an increase in the cost of child care or an increase in women's wages. This is a decline that's been happening for 18 years. We've seen it in other high-income countries as well. The way I've made sense of the data and the studies and the evidence is really to point to a broad shifting of priorities, a reprioritization of what people are choosing to spend their time and money and effort investing in their 20s and 30s. And what we're seeing across the board, across basically all groups, is delayed family formation, a foregoing of marriage and having children in the 20s and 30s. And it's really that decline among younger people today that's driving this reduction in fertility.
This is a debate that gets people very fired up very, very quickly. I guess I would ask, like, one, why do you think that is? And two, kind of how do you think about what could change things or send things back the other direction?
It gets very fired up because, of course, the decision to have a child is a very personal decision. And even when I say something like shifting priorities, people hear judgment in that, which is not what I mean. It's just a reflection of what are people doing? They're not getting married. They're not having kids. They're doing other things. That's not saying that people are making mistakes from their own well-being or anything like that. It's not saying people owe it to the economy or the U.S. to have babies. But it is saying that these low fertility rates in a sustained way fundamentally are going to change our economy and our society going forward. And we should be able to have a rational conversation about that. And also ask, are there things we could be doing as a society that would make it such that people who would want to have children feel more readily equipped to choose to do that?
I mean, that feels like sort of on the political part of this conversation. It is something that we've been talking about for a long time, which is a lot of people are deferring because they can't afford it. I mean, think about, you can't buy a house. How are you going to pay for childcare? How are you going to be able to have a baby, which is very expensive? Do you have the right health care to be able to guarantee? Because we also know in some states in this country, maternal mortality rates are abysmal. So again, I know for a lot of Black women, there's a real fear, actually, of having children because of the health issues. So I think that's the other piece of this. When we think about policy, it has to be kind of a holistic look, which we never really do, to say, how do we, for people who want to have children, how do we make it easier? What policies do we need to support people and not just sort of brush it off in terms of, thinking it has real impact if you feel like, look, I just can't afford it, and I'm just not sure that's the right choice for me until I have more money in my pocket.
Sure, Michael, what's interesting about that point is the Republican Party, and look, you can listen to J.D. Vance, you can listen to top Republicans constantly talking about more kids, bigger families, this is what we need to be doing. But on a policy basis, there has actually been an interesting break from kind of conservative orthodoxy on helping in the care economy, not necessarily in the ways Democrats would like by any means, but I think about Mitt Romney and Josh Hawley on tax credits.
I was going to say that.
Hawley has been a leader, I think, in really breaking with how Republicans traditionally viewed these issues. From a policy perspective, where do you think that is in the party right now?
I mean, I think tax credits is certainly one that I think is palpable for most people. I agree with Kieran, though, on having a broader, wide look at this. I'm a conservative. I have some traditional perspectives on this, but I think Democrats do make a lot of great points on women in the workplace and women who decide to get advanced degrees. How do we allow those women to move forward with their visions, their dreams, while saying, hey, you can still do this, and we as a society will make sure you can still become a mom, and we'll make sure that the support is there financially. It's in the benefit, I would argue, long-term of the country. And even looking at our workforce, we want to have a strong, vibrant, next generation coming up through the ranks. Professor, I would imagine that's critical when we look 50 years from now. And so I think there are some ways we could see some bipartisanship on this, Karen.
If only we didn't have a war to worry about and
That's
a
fair.
whole list of other things that are taking up the time.
This should be a big tent issue.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? It should
100%.
be. You do have social conservatives saying, hey, we want to be a more family-friendly, pro-natalist society. And you've had Democrats long saying we need to spend more money on kids and bolstering families and helping people navigate the conflict between work and parenthood in this country. That means that there should be broad support for recognizing that this is an issue that we need to be investing our policy resources and our money and time to.
Novel concept. We had the conversation and no one
about that?
fired up at all.
We actually agree.
We all interesting conversation about things. Thank you very much. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.
Thank
Well, up next, did allies of Eric Swalwell know about the rape allegations and not act on them? Here from a Democrat who called himself a close friend of the now former congressman. That's next.
I have been told that I cannot perform one joke or I will go to jail. Watch the hair!
You are going to be remembered for comedy.
When you're away from the spotlight, you have time to think about what really matters.
Oh!
The spotlight! God, I am glad to be
At Car Shield, we want our employees to be themselves.
Where's my yogurt? Woo! How'd that taste?
But at the end of the day, it's all about the customer.
Car Shield's doing it better than anybody else alive. They're the money-saving, roadside assistant, son-of-a-guns protecting you from expensive car breakdowns. Car Shield cars go farther. Woo!
You think you're something special? There is nothing special about you.
The next time I see you will be in Hogwarts.
Are you really Harry Potter?
Wow, what is this place?
The RealReal is the destination for authenticated luxury resale. They make it simple to sell what you have so you can shop what you really want.
Can you believe my old owner paid retail for me when she could have just gone to the RealReal?
Shop and sell with the RealReal. Get $25 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Hi, we're Charity Water. 703 million. That's how many people worldwide currently live without access to clean, safe drinking water. It's a big problem, but we know we can solve it. To do that, we need to make every penny count, which means when you donate $1, exactly $1 goes to water projects where they're needed most. Not 83 cents on the dollar, not even 99 cents. The whole dollar. We're obsessive about our 100% promise, and we have been from the start. But we don't just say it, we prove it. With GPS coordinates, audited financial statements, transparency and accountability that go above and beyond what's expected of us. So you can see your impact in black and white, and in living color too. Because seeing is believing. Give with confidence, and watch your gift make a tangible difference.
Why can't psoriasis just leave me alone? The inflammation inside. This on the outside. The pills and creams haven't done enough for me. I can feel the stares. Hear the whispers. I'm done. So done.
Talk to your dermatologist about your psoriasis symptoms and treatment options. Go to sodone.com.
All right, so that's one pair of glasses. Yep. With prescription lenses, plus anti-reflective lens coating.
Oh.
Scratch-resistant coating.
Did I choose?
UV protection. Award-winning customer service.
That's me.
That's also me. Free returns, free exchanges, and free frame adjustments for life.
And how much more is that?
Oh, it's all included at Warby Parker.
So my glasses
Are still just $95.
Oh.
Surprise! I just get excited.
CNN This Morning with Audie Cornish. Weekdays at 6 a.m. on CNN.
This is the work of a cold, calculating assassin.
In a competition like this, every chef is swinging for the fences.
This is the best lineup of bakers I have ever seen.
All new, the Ultimate Baking Championship, Monday at 9 on Food Network.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Phil Mattingly in for Jake Tapper. This hour, 2 members of Congress now out of their jobs after getting engulfed in sex-related scandals. Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez officially resigning today, just moments before their colleagues started the process to try and kick them out of the House. But there are still many more members, or maybe more members, forced out. What we're learning tonight about those efforts. Plus, a Kuwaiti-American journalist has been detained in Kuwait 6 weeks after he posted a video of a U.S. Air Force fighter jet that crashed inside his country. Now, his friends are going public about his case, hoping the pressure will convince officials to release him. Also, as we head into the busy travel season, a new report reveals the head of United Airlines pitched President Trump on a mega merger between United and American Airlines. But what would this actually mean for your travels and your wallet? And Buckingham Palace just revealed details about King Charles' upcoming trip to the United States. What we're learning about the pomp, the circumstance, from a garden party to a fancy state dinner, even a trip to New York City. The Lead tonight, bipartisan resignations from 2 scandal-ridden congressmen rocking Capitol Hill. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell, Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez, both resigning this afternoon under the threat of an imminent expulsion vote. Now, last month, Texas Republican Tony Gonzalez acknowledged an affair with a former staffer who later died by suicide. He's also facing allegations of sending a former campaign staff member lewd text messages, which to this point he has not addressed. Swalwell's resignation and withdrawal from the California governor's race comes following varying sexual misconduct allegations from several women, including sexual assault accusations from a former staffer who describes instances of non-consensual sexual contact with him after nights of drinking. Swalwell denies the allegations. We start things off with CNN's Manu Raju, who is on Capitol Hill, where he's heard this afternoon from a former close ally of Eric Swalwell's. Manu, what are you learning?
Yeah, this comes in the aftermath of this stunning news that just not only shocked some of his closest allies on Capitol, including Senator Ruben Gallego. He's an Arizona Democrat, someone who actually chaired Swalwell's presidential campaign in 2020. And there have been a lot of questions about whether any of this was known ahead of time, particularly to some of his closest allies like Senator Ruben Gallego. But Gallego called in a group of reporters into his office this afternoon and furiously denied having any knowledge whatsoever about some of these very serious allegations of sexual assault, including an alleged rape, something that Swalwell denies. But Gallego said he saw no evidence that this happened during the course of their relationship, but he did say that there were rumors about flirtatious behavior that Swalwell was involved with over the years.
We all heard rumors in Washington, D.C. about Eric Swalwell for many years. And my family, again, was with him all the time, with his wife, with his kids. And we saw a different side of Eric.
Should you have acted when you first heard these rumors several years ago?
The rumors I heard were that he was just a flirty social guy. That's it. When you're out with a man, when he is, taking his kids to baseball games, when you see them together, you start creating in your head, like, that's not the person you hear. And again, I was lied to, and, it clouded my judgment. Our friendship clouded our judgment.
Now, I asked Hakeem Jeffries, his Democratic leader in the House, if he had urged Swalwell to resign. He declined to comment on that, saying that he would not talk about his private conversations. And I asked him why not call for him to resign publicly. All Jeffries would say is that he made the right decision. Now, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, did not call on Tony Gonzalez to resign in the run-up to his decision to step aside today. He did not call for him to step out of his race for re-election, which Gonzalez ultimately did. But the decision by Swalwell and Gonzalez to step aside after a couple of special elections, which we expect to go a certain way, means that Johnson could still only afford to lose one Republican vote on any party line vote, which shows you how significant every resignation is in this narrowly divided GOP-led House, Phil.
Yeah, no question. Manu, kind of on that point, there was also efforts or discussion about potentially expelling two other members of Congress, Republican and Democrat. Where do those stand right now?
Yeah, that's Congresswoman Sheila Chertoff McCormick. She is a Florida Democrat, and Chertoff McCormick has been indicted on federal charges alleging embezzlement, alleging stealing COVID relief money, something that she has denied. But she has faced a House ethics probe that actually had a public hearing just a couple of weeks ago, and that ethics committee has found her guilty on several charges. Now, the ethics committee meets next week to actually make a formal recommendation in the widespread belief here on Capitol Hill is that it will indeed recommend her expulsion. Mike Johnson told me today that he supports seeing her expelled from the House. Now, Corey Mills is a separate, different case. He has a laundry list of allegations that he is facing that the House Ethics Committee is investigating right now. And I asked Johnson whether he supports seeing Mills expelled from the House. He said that that House Ethics probe still needs to conclude. He said he would look into it further before deciding whether to comment. But that threshold, Phil, as you know, very high to expel a member of Congress. It requires two-thirds majority in the United States House, which explains to you why only 6 members of Congress in the history have been expelled, the most recent of which was George Santos, of course, and that happened just a couple of years ago, Phil.
Yeah. Manu Raju with all the latest from Capitol Hill. Thank you very much, my friend. Well, Eric Swalwell's resignation today comes as one of his accusers is speaking out on camera. Alex DeMarco, who was named in Friday's CNN report, told CNN's Pamela Brown that she connected with Swalwell on social media in 2021. She admired his politics and was surprised when he replied to her messages. He offered to help her with her own political career and invited her to visit the U.S. Capitol. She says they began texting, and his messages there and on Snapchat soon crossed a line.
The messages gradually became more inappropriate, and they became later into the night, times that nobody should be talking to a congressman, or a congressman should be talking to a young girl. And he would say things like, "What are you doing? What are you wearing? Send me a photo of what you're doing right now." And then eventually one night we were talking and he just sent me a photo of his genitals.
Unsolicited.
Unsolicited, yeah.
So Margaret says that she sees telling her story as the only way for Swalwell to face accountability.
I will say we are not paid. We're not working with anybody. I didn't know any of the women before I came forward to tell my story. He never should have ran for governor to begin with, knowing what he knows. And nobody else is responsible for what happened to him. Eric Swalwell is responsible for Eric Swalwell, not the media, and definitely not the women.
In a statement on behalf of Swalwell, he categorically and unequivocally denies each and every allegation of sexual misconduct and assault that has been leveled against him. The California Democrat and his legal team also vow to continue to fight what they call baseless accusations against him through every available legal remedy. That, as another new accuser is now coming forward with claims that Swalwell raped her in 2018 at a Los Angeles area hotel. Lana Drews said she met the congressman socially while working as a model and entrepreneur, and he'd offered to connect her with investors. She says the two were supposed to go to a political event together before the alleged assault took place. CNN's Kyung La spoke to Lana Drews today after the news conference. Kyung, what did she say?
Well, she sat down with us because she wanted to talk more fully, saying that she felt that the time to speak was now because of all of the women who you've been showing here on your program just now. She is another accuser who is coming forward, and she is detailing something that happened in 2018. We have just heard from her lawyer that she has now filed a report, an official police report with the LA County Sheriff's Department that has jurisdiction over the area where she claims this assault took place. Again, in 2018, she says that she met Swalwell 3 times, and on the 3rd time they met for dinner. She believes that he put something in her drink. That is her accusation, and she says after holding the press conference, she sat down with CNN to detail a little bit more about what she says happened that night.
I can't believe that he felt so cavalier that he would just drug me and then rape me and then choke me. I couldn't move my arms, so he was on top of me, choking me. And all I could do was just watch. And I passed out. I thought I was dead. I thought I died. And then I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and he was next to me and I left.
Now, her lawyers have not provided corroborating information directly to the media, saying that they are first going to go with law enforcement, providing that directly to law enforcement. And again, that report has now been filed with the Sheriff's Department. And we did reach out to Swalwell's campaign, his team. We have also reached out to his lawyer. We did not get a direct response, but we did get that response via social media from his attorney that is, again, quote, Swalwell categorically and unequivocally denies each and every allegation of sexual misconduct and assault that has been leveled against him. Phil?
Chung La with the breaking news, all the latest. Thanks so much. Well, today, President Trump is hinting that talks with Iran could restart in the next few days, but how close is that to a reality? Plus, what new inflation data out today says about the rising costs facing American businesses and how those costs could be passed on to you. Stay with us.
What you do today changes what you need tonight. Maybe you're getting into something, or getting over something, growing, making a comeback, or making it up as you go. Changing days call for changing nights. That's why the new Comfort Mode mattress from Sleep Number adapts to your changing life. Softer or firmer for personalized comfort night after night. For a limited time, get free delivery when you add a base, only at Sleep Number.
Let's get back to our top story. Today's resignations of Representatives Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez from Congress. Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz from Florida. Congresswoman, really appreciate your time. I want to start with something that your former House colleague, now Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego, said about rumors that he'd heard about Eric Swalwell. There's a lot of reporting, or a lot of people saying that they had heard rumors about behavior in one shape or another. Had you heard those rumors? Did you have concerns at any point?
I have never heard any rumors about the relationships that Eric Swalwell had, and those are outrageous, unacceptable, disgusting, and I'm thankful he did the right thing and resigned, and frankly, Tony Gonzalez resigning was also appropriate, but should have happened several months ago when the allegations against him that he essentially admitted came to light.
You're a member of the Crime Survivors and Justice Caucus, works in a bipartisan way to improve services and rights for crime victims. You know, Swalwell was also a member of the caucus. He's been a vocal advocate for the Me Too movement, against gun violence, but, you know, a lot of things that ideologically align with what you have been working on. I think one of the questions is, you know, when you think about it, is there a reckoning needed for that to even be possible, for somebody like that with these allegations coming out to be in the same spaces trying to act like he's an advocate?
I mean, the fact that he could put himself in the same space shows you what a megalomaniac he obviously was. When someone gets so drunk with the power that they have, that they're perpetrating sexual crimes, alleged sexual crimes, and acting in a sexually wildly inappropriate way with young staffers, that shows you that they've separated from reality and let the trappings of the job go to their head, really convincing himself that he was invincible, seemingly.
You mentioned the young staffers. Congressman Gonzalez was facing the same issues. I'm not naive. I don't think the Hill has been some pure place that's different from society over the course of its time in existence. But like, this is abhorrent. And young staffers being taken advantage of by members of Congress is something that, like, it's mind-blowing to me that it could still happen. It's infuriating on some level. And I'm wondering when you talk to other members, are there discussions about what could be done to prevent stuff like this from happening with younger staffers from being preyed on here?
You know, Phil, besides that I am a member of Congress who employs young staffers, I'm a mom of two 20-something-year-old daughters who are also both young staffers in D.C. And so, like, the idea that they could be potential victims of this kind of abhorrent conduct makes my skin crawl. We have a process where members have to take sexual harassment training every year. It's an in-person class, and we are walked through what is appropriate, what's not appropriate. That's something clearly that needs to be reviewed, because it's obviously not fully penetrating what the consequences are and how wildly unacceptable coming on or having any kind of relationship with your young female staffers or young staffers at all is. And we also need to make sure we take a look at the consequence structure, because the ethics process takes way too long and a number of women members have been talking about this. When you're dealing with an urgent emergency situation, which clearly some of these young female staffers have been in, there needs to be a process to make sure the member accused gets due process, make sure that those young women are not going to be in harm's way any longer than they had already been exposed to.
It's a really important conversation. Please keep us updated as those conversations move forward. Florida Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, turning now to our world lead, President Trump says, quote, something could be happening over the next 2 days in Pakistan as the U.S. and Iran try to come back to the negotiating table. Separately, Iran's news agency quotes a lawmaker there as saying Iran will continue taking part in negotiations, even though it doesn't trust the U.S. I want to bring in Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois. She's an Iraq War veteran, Purple Heart recipient, and is also one of a group of 6 senators that has been pushing for legislative action to rein in President Trump's war powers. Senator, really appreciate your time. Just to start with the resolution would terminate hostilities against Iran unless Congress passes a declaration of war and authorization for use of military force. Your conversations behind the scenes or over the course of the Easter recess, have you gotten a sense that bipartisan support may be starting to coalesce behind this?
I do think that my Republican colleagues have become more and more uncomfortable as the chaos of Trump's war of choice has reached new heights. I'm hearing from colleagues that, this process that we're going through of forcing a vote every single week is really putting them on the spot. Basically, we're asking them to choose between their loyalty and their oath to the American people and the Constitution of the United States or their loyalty to Donald Trump. Congress has to exert its power over the executive branch when it comes to issues of war. And so we're going to continue to call up these war powers resolutions every week until they choose the nation above Donald Trump. Mine is going to come up tomorrow. But yes, I'm starting to see Republicans become very uncomfortable with what is happening. We basically, Donald Trump, who ran on America first as his promise to the American people, has engaged us in a war that has made things worse for the American people. Gas prices are through the roof. There's a new Ayatollah in Iran that's worse than the old Ayatollah. And now we're blockading the Strait of Hormuz when ships could pass through it freely before. So something has to happen, and we're not going to wait for Republicans to grow a backbone. We're going to force them to vote on this every single week until they realize that their loyalty is to the United States before it is to Donald Trump.
Do you have any optimism with the ongoing, obviously there were talks over the weekend, there were separately talks between Israeli officials and Lebanese officials today in Washington, that there may be a diplomatic path forward here?
Well, here's the issue, right? What happened in Washington was talks between the Israeli ambassador, the Lebanese ambassador. That's what Marco Rubio is going to. That is not a high enough level when it comes to international negotiations. And by the way, Israel's problem is this Hezbollah. And so I don't think that we're really getting true negotiations that's happening. And it's not something that can happen in a single day, for example. Frankly, Donald Trump launched this war of his choice. A second lieutenant in her first weeks of training would tell you this is the consequences of what would happen if you launch attacks on Iran.
When you were back for, again, the Senate's been out of session for a couple of weeks, what are you hearing from constituents right now? How are they feeling about either the war itself or kind of how it's having a direct impact on them?
Well, number one, they don't want the war. They want us to get out of this war. Number two, they're telling me that they cannot afford to put gas in their cars. We went from gas being $1 to $2 a gallon to now it's well over $4. And at least in Illinois and in other parts of the country, it's even higher than that. But they still have to get to work. They still have to drive their kids to school. They still have to put gas in the gas pump. My farmers are in planting season right now, and they're seeing their input costs go through the roof. That's going to affect the harvest come this fall. And so the consequences of Trump's war of choice is going to be hurting Americans for the long term. Heating bills are going through the roof. And yet Donald Trump has also, in addition to launching this war, proposed to eliminate the low-income heating program, LIHEAP, in his next year's budget. And so they're really feeling the pressure. They're saying that, their lives, they're just hanging on when it comes to bills that they have to pay. And what are we doing in Iran? And, we have 13 dead service members and hundreds of wounded Americans. They do not support this war at all.
Senator Tammy Duckworth, appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, a journalist is behind bars in Kuwait just weeks after posting video of a U.S. fighter jet crash inside the country. Is that the reason behind his detainment? And what happens next? Stick with us.
This is the moment your hair stops holding you back. You wear it down. And for the first time in a while, you like the way your part is falling. That shift doesn't happen overnight. It comes from sticking with a hair growth routine that works from the inside out. So when the flash flashes, you don't hesitate. You just enjoy the moment, because the difference isn't just in your hair. Start growing today at Nutrafol.com.
Start with breaking news on several fronts.
Want to know what I'm thinking about?
Let us break it down.
Congrats, we're publishing your book. Get ready.
Yeah, I didn't expect the book to get this much attention. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. Now, I have Skyrizi.
And now, I'm back in the picture. Skyrizi is the only IL-23 inhibitor proven to help achieve remission, meaning few to no symptoms in just 4 weeks for some people. Many were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 4 years. Plus, Skyrizi is proven to help visibly repair damage of the intestinal lining.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's.
Now's the time to take control of your Crohn's. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's disease.
Waiting for your career to take off? Well, don't. With SHRM certification, you earn more, get promoted faster, and lead with confidence. This is your sign to act. The best workplaces are led by SHRM certified experts. If it's a work thing, it's a SHRM thing.
I have active psoriatic arthritis, but want to move with more freedom. So I'm ready to jump in with Skyrizi. Along with clearer skin, Skyrizi helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And it's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi.
Excuse me, do I know you? Marty Mauser, Royal Suite. I'm gonna be staring at you from the cover of a Wheaties box.
I'm on a new level.
And our world lead, a journalist who posted this video of a U.S. Air Force fighter jet crashing west of Kuwait City 6 weeks ago, is apparently behind bars right now in Kuwait. Now, friends and allies of Kuwaiti-American journalist Ahmed Shihab al-Din are going public with his detainment, hoping it will help with his release. I want to bring in CNN's Clarissa Ward, is in south of Kuwait, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And Clarissa, when was he detained, and what's he been charged with here?
That's right, Phil. This is some really alarming news coming out of Kuwait. Ahmed Shihab al-Din is well known to many of us, a journalist who has written for HuffPost, made films for the BBC, for Al Jazeera, for Vice News. He's also well known for his passionate advocacy and activism around the Palestinian cause. He has a huge following on social media. From what we understand, he went to visit his family in Kuwait at the beginning of the war and has not been seen in public and also has not posted anything online since March 2nd. So that is now 6 weeks. Now, if you look at some of his recent posts, and I should add that his X account and his Instagram account have been taken down, but if you look at his Substack, it appears the thing he shared most recently before his arrest was, ironically, a video verified and put out by CNN that showed a U.S. fighter jet as it was downed by friendly fire in Kuwait. He didn't offer any commentary. There was nothing incendiary, explosive about posting this CNN clip. But what this speaks to are these kind of draconian security restrictions that we have seen here in the Gulf. Since this war began, hundreds of people have been arrested. Strict laws have been introduced about filming things, showing intercepts, things of that nature, because of all of the security concerns in the Gulf. But the CPJ, the Committee to Protect Journalists, is saying that some of this is really just an excuse to round up people who they think potentially are dissenting voices, although I should say we have absolutely no record of Ahmed speaking out against Kuwait in any way, shape, or form. It does appear that he was just there to visit his family. He now faces charges, Phil, potentially of spreading false information, harming national security, and misusing his mobile phone, which could be very serious indeed. Again, the CPJ calling these charges vague and overly broad accusations that are routinely used to silence independent journalists. And the CPJ and all of Ahmed's friends and journalists are calling Kuwait to release him. Phil?
A very important story. Clarissa Ward, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Well, could two of the United States' biggest airlines soon become one? A new report claims the head of United Airlines floated a merger with American, a potential impact for travelers. That's next.
Obesity, lose weight, and keep it off.
Watch this.
People taking it lost up to 48 pounds. In a study, people using Zepbound lost an average of 50 pounds compared to an average of 33 pounds with the Wegovy injection.
Watch this.
Don't share needles or pens or reuse needles. Don't take if allergic to it or if you or someone in your family had MTC or MEN2. Tell your doctor if you get a lump or swelling in your neck. Stop Zepbound and call your doctor if you have severe stomach pain or a serious allergic reaction. Severe side effects may include inflamed pancreas or gallbladder problems. Tell your doctor if you experience vision changes, depression or suicidal thoughts before scheduled procedures with anesthesia. If you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills. Taking Zepbound with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting, which can cause dehydration and worsen kidney problems. Ask your doctor about Zepbound.
Watch this.
Your glasses can change the way you see the world, so choose yours wisely. Find your perfect pair at Warby Parker, starting at $95, including prescription lenses.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
They said that it couldn't get any better, but it just did. Meet the all-new Patriot Power Generator 2200X, our most powerful portable solar generator ever. It's lighter, stronger, and built to recharge faster with more capacity, more power, and more life cycles than ever before. And right now, during our launch event, you'll get 2 free 100-watt solar panels. Double the power of our previous model, absolutely free. Now, you see that square on your screen? That's a QR code. Open your phone's camera, point it at the screen, and tap the link that pops up to claim this deal. No gas, no fumes, no noise. Just reliable, renewable backup power strong enough to run your fridge for 3 days straight. A freezer, even critical medical devices from safely inside your home. It's the next generation of blackout protection, but you gotta act fast because this first batch is limited. And when they're gone, they're gone. Scan that code now to get the new Patriot Power Generator 2200X and 2 free 100-watt solar panels. Go to 4patriots.com now and get yours before the next blackout hits.
Eva Longoria, Searching for France, Sunday at 9 on CNN and next day on the CNN app.
And our money lead, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says not so fast to those interest rate cuts President Trump has been pushing for. The reason? Uncertainty because of the Iran war. At an event with Semaphore, Bessent said, quote, "Do I think rates should be lowered? Eventually. I think now that we have to wait and see." CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich is here. And Vanessa, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that sounded like weirdly in line with something I heard from the chairman of the Fed, which can't possibly be true with a Trump administration official. Am I remembering that correctly?
Phil, you are on to something. But after so long of a full court press by the president and his administration since the beginning of his term, really, for the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, which they did 3 times last year, you are hearing correctly. One administration official, a secretary of the president's cabinet, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, actually looking like he is on the same page with Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell, at the last Fed meeting in March, very much said that it was too soon to make a call about where interest rates may go this year because of the war with Iran. Listen to what we heard from Jerome Powell in March and see if you can pick up on the similarities on what he said with the Treasury Secretary just today.
The truth is it's completely out of our hands, and we just, like everybody else, we have to just wait and see what happens. And it'll come down to how long, the current situation lasts, and then what are the effects on prices, and then how do consumers react and that kind of thing.
Okay, so he said wait and see. That is pretty much exactly what we heard from the Treasury Secretary. But Phil, listen, most investors on Wall Street do believe that the Federal Reserve at their next meeting later this month are going to hold interest rates steady. Just a very small percentage of investors believe that there could be a rate cut. And at the last Fed meeting, Jerome Powell and other members of the board did pencil in one cut for this year, but even Jerome Powell at the time said it was nearly impossible to make that prediction just because of all the uncertainty, especially with the Iran war and what it means for inflation going forward, Phil.
Yeah, it's all about duration of the conflict at this point. Very complex picture. Thank you for explaining it to us. Vanessa Yurkevich, you're the best. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, also on our money lead, from heated rivalry to mega partnership, Reuters is reporting that United Airlines CEO pitched a major proposal to President Trump earlier this year, merge United with American Airlines. And while this potential deal is far from official, hasn't actually started yet at this point, it would create, hypothetically, the biggest airline in the world. So what exactly would that mean for you and your bottom line, particularly at a time when the Iran war has sent jet fuel prices skyrocketing? Obviously, we're going to ask the points guy, Brian Kelly, who's going to tell us all of the answers to something that hasn't actually happened yet, but does raise a lot of questions about what it would mean for the marketplace. And again, I'm being very serious when I say caveat with all the things. This is not a process that has started. If it does start, it would take a long time. There'd be all sorts of things going on. But in terms of consolidation in the industry, one of the things that I think naturally comes to mind is, okay, if you merge these two airlines and create the mega airline, do consumers benefit? What's your sense of things?
I have a very simple answer for you. No. We've seen a lot of consolidation in the industry, and in general, less choice for consumers. What we've seen with the U.S. airlines is, increase in fares, but also devaluation in loyalty programs. American and United have two of the biggest loyalty programs. So combining them into one does not mean more value for the consumers. So overall, this would be awful for consumers.
What about, are there more flight options? Does this expand route opportunity on some level? What are the pluses here to the extent there are any?
Yeah, I'd really struggle because right now United has the largest route network of any airline. And I'd also like to mention it's not just US regulators that would have to give approval. Certainly EU regulators would probably have a really big issue with this tie-up. And really, as you know, what I'm hearing is what's more likely is that United will eventually buy JetBlue. And, you know, my personal opinion on this is Scott Kirby's, you know, this got leaked to create us talking about it right now so that when they actually want to acquire JetBlue, which would be much more likely, it seems much more normal. Like, okay, they won't do that crazy thing, but JetBlue, it makes sense. And I will say for the smaller carriers like JetBlue, Spirit's almost out of business, has been in bankruptcy twice. There is something to be said, instead of letting carriers go out of business, to have them live on, you know, through a merger or acquisition. So I think that's the most likely outcome here, is that United's actually angling for JetBlue, but this will, you know, help get that approved.
I love the 8D chess to the extent, well, neither of us are saying that's what happened here, but possibly, which brings the question, you know, it's interesting because you've heard from Trump administration officials who've made some comments about the potential for some type of M&A in this space. They seemed supportive of it, which I think raised my ears a couple of days ago. I think Sean Duffy was talking about that. Talk to me about a JetBlue merger. What would be the benefit for consumers? Why would that make more sense?
Yeah, so United had made a pretty, you know, a calculated misstep, in my opinion, of leaving JFK. JFK is a really important international hub for airlines where JetBlue has a huge presence. And once you leave an airport, it's very hard to get back in. So strategically for United, this would allow them to get back to JFK, arguably the most important market in the US. You know, I love JetBlue, but JetBlue has struggled for a long time to be profitable, and they've pushed off investment in their planes. JetBlue's reliability is pretty bad. So if United, which is a much better run airline, took over JetBlue, we could argue that instead of JetBlue going out of business or death by 1,000 cuts, that it could live on and actually benefit consumers. So I would just like to say, I think Scott Kirby had mentioned that a reason to do these mergers are because international airlines have an outsized share of long haul travel. And I would just push the US airlines. There might be a reason for that. Invest more in the actual product, the seats. You know, American Airlines doesn't even have TV screens on most of their planes. So I would advise these airlines, if they want more consumers, invest in the actual product.
Yeah, I say this in the most unbiased, just purely observational way. It is different when you're flying.
Especially Asian carriers.
Oh my goodness, it is different. Guys, invest money. It makes a lot of sense. Brian Kelly, I always appreciate you, my friend. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Well, a new chapter today in Democratic efforts to push back against President Trump. Our panel weighs in next.
Even on an antidepressant, there are days I feel stuck in my head. Depression symptoms, like lack of interest and negative thoughts, can hold me back. I wanted to break through. I asked about Vraylar. Adding Vraylar to an antidepressant significantly reduces overall depression symptoms better than an antidepressant alone.
Not for elderly with dementia-related psychosis due to increased risk of death or stroke. Report changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts to your doctor. Antidepressants may increase these in those under 25. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may not go away. High blood sugar may lead to coma or death. Weight gain and high cholesterol may occur. Difficulty moving, uncontrolled movements, tremors, feeling like you need to move, nausea, constipation, insomnia, dizziness, increased appetite, and fatigue are common. Side effects may not appear for weeks.
Vraylar, breaking through to relief. Ask about Vraylar.
Did the re-election of Donald Trump play any role in your decision to resign? Why do you need to study it? It sounds like you have the facts on your fingertips.
Great question.
Do you have any concerns about Elon Musk?
There really is much more that unites us as Americans than that which divides us.
A moment with huge consequences for the nation and the world.
Watch The Lead, weekdays at 5 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
Another day, same pain, same meds, same struggling for symptom relief. Injections like Humira and Enbrel work similarly to treat moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis or psoriatic arthritis. But if your symptoms haven't improved enough, Rinvoq works differently. It's a once-daily pill that can rapidly relieve RA and PSA joint pain, stiffness, and swelling, as fast as 2 weeks for some. Even after 3 years, many people felt this relief. In PSA, Rinvoq can leave skin noticeably clearer.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin, serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infections, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Do something different. Ask your doctor if switching to Rinvoq is right for you.
When you're looking for a psychiatrist, it feels like there's always a catch. Maybe you find someone great, but they don't take your insurance. Or if they do, they can't see you for 6 months. And even if they could, getting to the office is cumbersome. Talkiatry is psychiatry without the compromises. Great clinicians that take insurance and see you in days, all from the comfort of home. Get matched with a psychiatrist who takes your insurance at talkiatry.com.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. With Skyrizi, feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks. Many people were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 4 years.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi.
The Situation Room, weekday mornings at 10 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
Money Madness, college basketball at a crossroads. Now streaming on the CNN app.
In our politics lead, Georgia Republican Congressman Clay Fuller is about to be sworn in as the newest member of Congress, replacing Marjorie Taylor Greene. It gives Speaker Mike Johnson just a little bit of breathing room in the Republicans' very narrow House majority. That majority may not last too long after a special election in New Jersey on Thursday to replace the seat held by Democratic Governor Mikey Sherrill. I'm back now with the panel. Speaking of balance of power, Eric Swalwell, Tony Gonzalez, both resigning. Here's what Speaker Johnson said today about the possible expulsion of 2 other members that's being discussed.
I do think certainly on Sheriff Alyssa McCormick, the Ethics Committee has gone through all of its processes and they've found some alarming facts. I think the facts are indisputable at this point, and so I believe it'll be the consensus of this body that she should be expelled. With regard to Mills, I'm not sure the status of the Ethics Committee investigation, and that's one of the things I'll be looking into today.
So just for context, last month the House Ethics Panel found Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilis McCormick guilty of 25 counts of ethics violations for embezzling millions from FEMA. Corey Mills is a reference to a Republican congressman who's accused by his ex-girlfriend of threatening to release sexually explicit images and video of her. Both members deny any wrongdoing. I think, Michael, my question is, if ethics comes back with a similarly damning outcome for Corey Mills, what does Speaker Mike Johnson do?
I think the Speaker is going to be consistent with his personal moral and ethical values, and that is to ask the congressman to resign. I think the Speaker clearly understands the political ramifications of losing another member, but one thing I think Mike Johnson has been very clear about is that he does have a Christian ethos. And I know some folks have not always liked where that leads him on some issues, but he tries, I would argue, to stay in sync with those values, and I think Corey Mills is not an exception.
Hakeem Jeffries has not called the expulsion, has not. There have been Democrats in the House who have, particularly frontline members. Why not?
Yeah, I don't know why not, but I agree. Look, I think you got to let people have their day in court or their day with the Ethics Committee and make that decision for themselves. Obviously, I think the 2 gentlemen who just stepped down, I think that was the right decision. And it's not just about, there's 2 things, right? There's the balance of power in the politics, like we saw with George Santos, where he kind of got to skate a little bit in order to keep the numbers where they were. By the same token, we have to be mindful that also the public is looking at this and saying, wait a second, if you're doing these things, how can you be leading this country? And I think it becomes particularly important, given that we have a president who acts so immorally at times, to have people in Congress who are holding up those values and holding up that oath, actually. So, look, I think if the facts lead to someone's guilt, then you should call for them to resign.
Okay, I've been wanting to ask you about this. This isn't the same as last hour when I was recounting, thinking about Shermichael in my office. Again, I had a point. I just didn't actually.
You didn't get it right, but we got there, Phil. We got
I
there.
feel like we did. Jamie Raskin, top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, introduced a bill setting up a 25th Amendment process to remove President Trump from office. If the bill passes, it would set up a new commission that would determine if a president is fit for office on the following conditions: physical illness or disability, mental illness or deficiency, alcohol or drug use, any other condition or contingency rendering the president unable to execute the powers and duties of the office of president. There has been a shift for Democrats publicly on both 25th Amendment and the idea of pursuing impeachment if they retake power that I never thought I would see after the first term. Why?
What we have been witnessing over the past almost 2 years is unprecedented in ways